Good morning, students. This is Arun Kumar sir from Social Department. Today we are going to discuss about 8th Standard Social Science History Lesson 2 from Trade to Territory. This is the heading of this lesson, from Trade to Territory. Why the Europeans came to India? That means they wants to make the trade relationship with India. After that, that was totally changed from top to bottom. They wants to rule in India. That's why they established their supremacy in India, as well as they wants to occupy all over the territories of India. So this and all we are going to discuss deeply. First one, learning objectives. To know the rise of the political power of the English East India Company, to know the events and the impact of Battle of Plassey and Buxar, to know the Carnatic Wars and Mysore Wars, to know the Anglo-Maratha Wars, to understand the growth of colonial army and civilian administration, and last one, to understand the principles of subsidiary alliance and the doctrine of lapse. So these are the topics we are going to discuss deeply. First one, introduction. In the 15th century, Europe witnessed an era of geographical discoveries through land and routes. For what? That means they want to made the trade relationship with India. So that is why they discoveries the land route and sea routes. In 1498, Vasco da Gama, he was a person of Portugal, discovered a new sea route from Europe to India. The main motive behind those discoveries was to maximize profit through trade and to establish political supremacy. That was the main aim of the Europeans. The rule of English East India Company in India became effective after the conquest of Bengal. So that was a first step of British to establish their supremacy in India. The main interest of the company in India was territorial and commercial expansion. That was the main aim of the English East India Company. So first heading is establishment of political power by the English East India Company in India. How the British government established their supremacy in India. So what were the causes that was helped to establishment of English India Company in India? Now we are going to discuss. First one, Battle of Plassey, 1757. Alivardi Khan, the Nawab of Bengal, died in 1756, and his grandson Siraj Uddaula ascended the throne of Bengal. After the death of Alivardi Khan, Siraj Uddaula, his grandson, ascended the throne. The British, taking advantages of a new Nawab's weakness and unpopularity, seized powers. So Sirajuddaula decided to teach the British a lesson by attacking over them political settlement of Calcutta. The Nawab captured their factory at Qasim Bazar. On 20th June 1756, Fort William surrendered, but Robert Clive recovered Calcutta. Robert Clive, he was a general of British East India Company. The British took too much advantages in the area of Bengal. That is why Sirajuddaula, he disliked the activities of the British, so he take revenge on the British. On 9th February 1757, Treaty of Alinagar was signed. Treaty of Alinagar was signed in 1757, whereby Sirajuddaula considered practically all his claims. British then captured Chandranagore, the French settlement, on March 1757. French settlement that was captured by British in 1757, that was Chandranagore. The Battle of Plassey took place between the English East India Company and the Nawab of Bengal and his French allies. The French allies was defeated by the British East India Company in Battle of Plassey. It was fought on 23rd June 1757. The English East India Company's forces under Robert Clive defeated the forces of Siraj ud Dowlah. He was a Nawab of Bengal. After the collapse of Bengal, the company gained a huge amount of wealth from the treasury of Bengal and used it to strengthen its military forces. The beginning of British political sway over India may be traced from the Battle of Plassey. That was the beginning of the English East India Company's rule in India. It was the most decisive battle that marked the initiation of British rule in India for the next 20 years. After next 20 years, British rule in India. Okay, students, the Battle of Plassey, that was a initiative step of the English East India Company to establish their supremacy in India. Okay, next we are going to discuss about Battle of Buxar in 1764. So after the Battle of Plassey in 1757, the company was gained undistributed rights to have free trade in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. So these were the places the British India Company got free trade rights. It received the places of 24 Baghanas in Bengal. Mir Jafar 1757 to 1760. The Nawab of Bengal, however, fell into arrears and was forced to abdicate in favor of his son-in-law Mir Jafar. So after the Battle of Plassey, the Nawab of Bengal, Mir Jafar, he became unpopular. That is why he forced to abdicate in favor of his son-in-law Mir Qasim. Mir Qasim ceded Bardaun, Midnapur and Chittagong. He shifted his capital from Murshidabad to Mongir. Mir Qasim soon revolted as he was angry with the British for misusing the Destaques, that means free trade passes. However, having been defeated by the British, the Mir Qasim was defeated by the British. He fell to Oudh. He escaped to Oudh, where he formed a confederacy with Siraj ud Dowlah and Shah Alam. Confederacy means the coalition. He joined with these two rulers. That is why he fell to Oudh. Next, the battle was fought on October 22nd, 1764 at Buxar, a small fortified town within the territory of Bihar. That was located, the particular place Buxar was located in Bihar. Located on the banks of river Ganges, about 130 kilometers west of Patna. It was a decisive victory for the British East India Company. The Battle of Buxar was a decisive victory of the British East India Company. Siraj ud Dowlah, Shah Alam and Mir Qasim were defeated. This combined army was defeated by the British. This combined Indian army was defeated by the British. Mir Jafar was again placed on throne. On Mir Jafar's death, his son Nizam ud Dowlah was placed on the throne and signed Allahabad Treaty on 20th February 1765, by which the Nawab had to disband most of his army and to administer Bengal through a deputy Subedar nominated by the company. The additional administrator was nominated by the company in the area. Next, Robert Clive. He was a very important person in the British East India Company. Robert Clive concluded two separate treaties with Shuja ud Dowlah and Shah Alam II. Dual system of government started in Bengal. The dual system of government was introduced by Robert Clive in Bengal region. Okay. Okay, students. Slow by slow, the English East India Company established their supremacy in India through the two battles. One is Battle of Plassey and second one is Battle of Buxar. Now we are going to discuss about the another wars that was happened in India. That is Carnatic Wars. That is Carnatic Wars. In the 18th century, three Carnatic Wars were fought between various Indian rulers, British and French East India Company on either side. Traditionally, Britain and France were rival countries in Europe. Already they fought among themselves in European continent. Their rivalry continued in India over trade and territories. That was continued on the basis of trade, and they wants to capture territories in India. It resulted in a series of military conflict in the south known as Carnatic Wars, which spanned from 1746 to 1763. That was the duration of Carnatic Wars in India. That is 1746 to 1763. These wars resulted in establishment of political supremacy of British East India Company. So that was a great platform to the English East India Company to establish their supremacy in India. So the three Carnatic Wars. Now we are going to discuss about the first Carnatic War in 1746 to 48. That was a duration 1746 to 48. The first Carnatic War. On the outbreak of Austrian War of Succession in Europe, the English and the French were on opposite camps. Increased the hostility between these two forces. The echo of this war was felt in India. The echo of War of Succession in Europe that was echoed in India. The Battle of Adayar in 1746. The Battle of Adayar in 1746. The first Carnatic War in remembered for the Battle of Santhom Madras, fought between the English French forces and the forces of Anwardin, the Nawab of Carnatic. The problem between French forces and the Nawab of Carnatic in India, who appealed the help from British. So the Nawab of Carnatic he need help from the British. A small French army under Captain Paradis defeated the strong Indian army under Mouse Khan at Santhom on the bank of river Adayar. This was the first occasion when the superiority of the well-trained and well-equipped European army over the Indian army was proved beyond doubt. So that was the first incident. It's made the inspiration to the European country. Okay. So that was the end of the first Carnatic War. That means the both side they were signed a treaty. It was called a Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle in 1748. After the end of the first Carnatic War, a treaty was signed. So after the end of the first Carnatic War, the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle was signed in 1748. The war was ended by the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, which brought the Austrian War of Succession to an end. The Austrian War of Succession was ended in Europe. Under the terms of this treaty, Madras was returned back to the English, and the French in turn got their territories in North America. So after the end of the first Carnatic War, the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle was signed in 1748. So both the countries were got back their own territories after the first Carnatic War. Okay. Next, students, we are going to discuss about second Carnatic Wars. Already we discussed about the first Carnatic War. Now we are going to discuss about second Carnatic War. It was happened in 1749 to 1754. The main cause of the war was the issue of succession in Carnatic and Hyderabad. The problem between these two regions, Carnatic and Hyderabad, Anwardi Khan and Sanda Sahib were the two claimants to the throne of Carnatic. The problem between Anwardi Khan and Sanda Sahib in Carnatic region, and as well as Nazir Jung and Muzafar Jung were claimants to the throne of Hyderabad. So the problem between Nazir Jung and Muzafar Jung in Hyderabad region. The French supported to Sanda Sahib and Muzafar Jung, while the British supported to other claimants with the objective of keeping their interest and influence in the entire Deccan region. That was the main aim of the both European countries. They want to keeping their interest and influence in the entire Deccan region. Next, the Battle of Ambur in 1749. The Battle of Ambur in 1749. Finally, Tubelix, Sanda Sahib and Muzafar Jung formed a grand alliance and defeated and killed Anwardi Khan, the Nawab of Carnatic. The Nawab of Carnatic, Anwardi Khan, was killed by the combined army of France on 3rd August 1749 in the Battle of Ambur. Muhammad Ali, the son of Anwardi Khan, fell to Trichinopoly. That means Tiruchirappalli. He escaped to Tiruchirappalli, the son of Alivardi Khan. Next, Sanda Sahib became the Nawab of Carnatic and rewarded the French with the grant of 80 villages around Pondicherry. The French got 80 villages in the area of Pondicherry. In the Deccan, too, the French defeated and killed Nazir Jung and made Muzafar Jung as the Nizam. On the other side, Nazir Jung was killed by France and Muzafar Jung was appointed as a Nizam of in particular region. The new Nizam gave ample rewards to the French. He appointed Tubelix as the governor of all territories in south of the river Krishna. The important person in France government, the Tubelix, he was appointed as a governor in all the territories in the south of river Krishna. Muzafar Jung was assassinated by his own people in 1751. Muzafar Jung, he was assassinated, that means murdered by his own people in 1757. Salabat Jung, brother of Nazir Jung, was raised to the throne by Buzi. Salabat Jung granted the northern Circus, excluding the Guntur districts, to the French. Tubelix's power was at its zenith by that time. Zenith means the height, highest level. The Tubelix, his power was at its highest level by that time. Okay. So, slow by slow, the English East India Company and French East India Company, they wants to establish their supremacy in India through occupy or capture the territories in India. Next one, Battle of Arcot. Battle of Arcot in 1751. In the meantime, Tubelix sent forces to besiege the fort of Trichy. Trichy was occupied by Tubelix, which where Muhammad Ali had taken shelter. Sanda Sahib also joined with the French in their effort to besiege Trichy. Robert Clive's proposal was accepted by the British governor, and with only 200 English and 300 Indian soldiers, Clive was entrusted the task of capturing Arcot. His attack proved success. At last, Robert Clive, he got success. Robert Clive defeated the French and Arani and Kaveri Park. With the assistance of Major General Strings Lawrence, Sanda Sahib was killed in Trichy. Muhammad Ali was made the Nawab of Arcot under British protection. The French government recalled Tubelix to Paris. So, after the Battle of Arcot, the important person of the French East India Company, Tubelix, he called back to his own country. Okay. Next, students, we are going to discuss about the Treaty of Pondicherry. Okay, in 1755, the Treaty of Pondicherry. Dupleix was succeeded by Godev, who agreed the Treaty of Pondicherry. According to it, both the powers agreed not to interfere in the internal affairs of the native states. Both European countries, they not to interfere in the internal affairs of the native states. There were to retain their old positions. That was also important one. The two European countries, they retain their old positions. New forts should not be built by either power. The treaty made the British very stronger in India. The Second Carnatic War also proved inconclusive. The English proved their superiority on land by appointing Muhammad Ali as the Nawab of Carnatic. Muhammad Ali, he was the son of Aliverdi Khan. He was appointed as a Nawab of Carnatic. The French were still very powerful in Hyderabad. However, the predominant position of the French in the Deccan Peninsula was indefinitely undermined in the war. So next we are going to discuss about the Third Carnatic War. The Third Carnatic War was happened in 1756 to 63. The outbreak of the 7 Years' War in Europe led to the Third Carnatic War in India. The outbreak of the 7 Years' War in Europe, that was a echo in India, that is Third Carnatic War. By this time, Robert Clive established the British power in Bengal by the Battle of Plassey, with provided them with the necessary finance for the Third Carnatic War. So County Lolly was deputed from France to conduct the war from the French side. He easily captured Fort St. David. He ordered Bussy to come down to the Carnatic with his army. Both the persons, County Lolly and the Bussy, both the persons, they planned against the British. That was correctly utilized by the British to capture Northern Circus. Next, to make a united efforts to push the British out of the Carnatic. Taking advantage of Bussy's departure, Robert Clive sent Colonel Forde from Bengal to occupy the Northern Circus, part of Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. The chance was rightly utilized by Robert Clive and capture the places of Northern Circus, that means the part of Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. Next, the Battle of Vandivas in 1760. The Battle of Vandivas in 1760. The decisive battle of the Third Carnatic War was fought on January 22nd, 1760. The English army under General Eyrecourt totally routed the French army under Lolly. Within a year, the French had lost all their positions in India. Lolly returned to France, where he was imprisoned and executed. The Robert Clive and the General Eyrecourt, both the persons are very responsible to the sent out of France from India. Next, the Treaty of Paris in 1763. The 7 Years' War was concluded by the Treaty of Paris. The French settlements, including Pondicherry, were given back to the France, but they were forbidden from fortifying these places. They were not allowed to gather army. The French domination in India particularly came to an end. So, after the Battle of Vandivas in 1760, the total domination of the French East India Company was sent out by the British in 1760. So at last after the end of the 7 years war in Europe, that war or the conflict that was also in India in 1763 through the Treaty of Paris. Okay, thank you students. Today the topic is over. We will discuss the remaining topic in the next class. Okay, thank you.